So from a young age, I've always been a dreamer with kind of my head in the clouds and just big, grandiose ideas of exactly what I want to happen in the world around me. Be it from designs for my bedroom in my childhood home to airplanes and helicopters, and even a tank that I designed and drew out plans for a local paintball fight with the neighbors, and how these tools were going to help us win the paintball war that summer, to multi-story tree houses, to wanting to build a castle in another part. I drew out all these plans. And the thing is that I had all these grand visions of how it was gonna happen, or at least what the finished product would look like. I didn't always have a plan of how I was gonna get to that finished product, but I had a pretty good visual in my mind, at least, of what that finished product was gonna look like. And as you can imagine, a lot of these stayed just in my mind as the finished product right there. I never was able to really figure out how to take a lot of these things and move them from the dream phase into the done or the doing phase. Now, there was a couple that made it past just the pure dream phase. The multi-story treehouse was one of those, a large part because I had my brother helping me. My brother is a doer by nature, and he just gets things done. So that was huge help. That, and our grandfather owned a sawmill, and so we had a lot of wood at our disposal. And so it was easier in those fronts to get resources, and the work was there because my brother was a part of that. Another one that kind of I thought was gonna for sure cross the finish line was this helicopter. I'd found all these pieces from my grandfather's junkyard. I had the frame of a grass clipper for a lawnmower, the frame of that, the grass clipper catcher. And that was the cab, and I'd taken some metal rods that I'd found there and welded those together with my dad's help on the back to make the pointed tail of the helicopter, and I'd found some angle or channel iron laying around at the junkyard, and I had used that as the runners or the landing gear for this helicopter. So I had the frame all done, and I was convinced that was going to be the dream that actually came real, that came to life. And I searched high and low on the internet for homemade helicopter kits, and was sure that all I needed was the rotor, the blades, and the engine, and this thing was going to work. And I was so confident of it that I bet my dad and my brother both $100 at the time that by the end of the summer, this project was going to be complete, and I was going to be flying around. And as you can probably guess, it was not the case. It was by the end of that summer, it was basically just that frame still. That's all that had progressed with that. And my brother and dad still kind of poke fun every once in a while, asking where their money is, because I didn't pay up either. So all that to say, if you are someone who is a dreamer, but you struggle with the doing part of your dreams, then this episode is for you. That is a skill that I've struggled with throughout my whole life, and it's something that I'm still trying to work out all the details of working through, but I feel like in the last 6 or 8 months, I've been able to make some headway with this, and I just want to pass along some information to you in the hopes that it would be beneficial for you as you are on a transformative journey of moving from the dreamer and, well, not moving from the dreamer to the doer, but marrying these two ideas of being a dreamer and a doer. Hey, if you're new here, welcome to the Podcaster's Journey. My name is Caleb, and I'm on a mission to help podcasters make podcasting more sustainable. So this show is all about helping creative entrepreneurs have the tools and the frameworks they need to make this dream of podcasting a reality in their sphere. So let's get into it today about how to be not just a dreamer, but a dreamer and a doer. So I've been married to my wife for about 3 years now, or 3.5 years. And through the course of that, she has gone through this experience with me where I have a grand idea, a big vision, a dream of what I want to accomplish. And I set out to do it. And again, I'm not able to follow through. I'm not able to cross the finish line with it for one reason or another. I find another shiny object and I head off in that direction. Maybe it gets too hard to finish the dream that I started, or I run into too many roadblocks and I'm just unsure of how to move the needle forward. And so I find something that feels easier. And so I start pursuing that. My wife, after watching this happen for 3.5 years closely in an intimate setting, and as far as living together and being in each other's space for 3.5 years, she started to call it my 6-month slump. And so I've been working to overcome that, and it's been a journey and a process for sure. It's definitely, that's the first thing that I want to pull up that has helped me start to move in the direction of bringing these of developing the skill of being the doer, is having somebody closely in my corner who's calling me out for that and saying, "Hey, I think there's something going on here. You've got a lot of big dreams, but let's see if we can follow through on some of these." And so honestly, having my wife in that position and in that corner and sharing that in a loving way with me has been very helpful. Helped me kind of take a long, hard look and figure out, okay, this is an area that I'm weak in. How do I build support around that? Part 2 of that community has been back in middle of this last year of 2024, I had the opportunity to start working with my business coach, Matt Gennard, and the way he runs his coaching program, it's kind of a collective of entrepreneurs, and it has been definitely a blessing for me. And that is probably the other major part that has kept me moving this long in this podcasting arena and moving this fast into something. There's been other things. My wife calls it the 6-month slump because it seems to be that when I spend about 6 months intensely working at something, if I don't get a lot of results or get the direction that I want to go in, if she feels like I start to move away from that and look for another shiny object. I would, after looking at myself, say that that's probably pretty accurate. When we got married, I was in the midst of trying to figure out how to make music and do this stuff. And for one reason or another, it didn't work out. And I think that was a good thing that it didn't work out that way. In that moment, I was just getting burned out with music, and trying to figure out how to make music make money was a struggle. So I started to look and dabble with podcasting because I was doing some editing for some friends, and turned into some editing for some clients from there. And so from there, I was like, I think I could build a business around this. So that became the new shiny object, was podcasting and building a business around podcasting and editing for other podcasters. And this was probably like a year into Bree and I's marriage. And so, and it didn't really go anywhere for probably another year. It was just an idea that I had there, but I didn't really flesh it out or pursue it. And having Matt come alongside and the group of entrepreneurs has been a real benefit and a blessing for sure in this direction, because it's given me a group of guys to be accountable to. And I've told Matt several times, like, I'm just so grateful to be in this group, in this community, because if I wasn't there, I don't think I would have the stamina by myself right now. I don't have that skill set. I don't have that tenacity built up right now that I would push through this challenging chapter in podcasting to get to the next area of reward. There's just not enough reward here for me to feel like it's worth it to continue on. And so that's the first thing that I want to encourage you. If you're struggling with being a doer, is to build up a solid community around you that you can trust, and that's going to be a solid sounding board for you, that's not going to tear you down when you're struggling with this skill of being a doer, but who's going to encourage you and continue to have conversations with you about how to continue to push the ball ahead and to continue to move forward. Another thing that's helped me become more of a doer is just a mindset shift. Understanding what I'm up against has helped me tremendously. I've always been, unfortunately, somebody who is looking for, I guess for a lack of a better term, like the easy way out, kind of, which is really sad. Or maybe it's more that I just want to know that my efforts are going to pay off. I think that would probably be a more accurate way to describe that, is that are my efforts going to be rewarded, or is this worth my time, basically? And as an entrepreneur, as a creative entrepreneur, there's no way to know if what you're spending your time on is going to be worth it. I mean, at some level, you can do some research and understand, but at another level, there is a level of experimentation that you just have to go out and just do things to see if it's going to work. And you have to give it time to do things. So for having stats like what I've coined or talk about as the 6% club, of understanding that about only 6% of podcasters make it to 100 episodes. And then coupling that stat with the idea and understanding that it takes about 100 episodes for a podcast to really kind of grow its legs and have time for people to find the show and for the audience and the people to really find that. I think another part of that, though, is that it takes about that long for you as a host to figure out how to be a good host. I have relayed this to people I've talked to as other podcasters that I've had the privilege of having conversations with, that like it's kind of like making pancakes. When you first make pancakes, the first couple pancakes are kind of throwaway pancakes. You're just getting the skillet warmed up and you're just figuring out how to do things. And I think podcasting is no different. I think it's a lot longer journey. 100 episodes is definitely not one or two pancakes, that you're just throwing away. But I do think the first 10 or 20 episodes kind of are probably throwaway episodes. As bad as that sounds, it's not that they're throwaway episodes, but it's our job as hosts to figure out our voice, how we're communicating, and who we're communicating to. So having that kind of a mindset shift, also a mindset shift of moving from being a consumer to being a creator in this culture and in this society that is so bent on consuming. We have consumerism in the form of shopping and that sort of stuff, but we also have consumerism in the form of social media and just like consuming reel after reel or TikTok after TikTok, video after video, podcast after podcast. And so it's easy to fall into maybe the trap, dare I say, of just being complacent of hearing other people's ideas rather than doing research and building an outline and sharing your own ideas and having a voice. And to drive that point home, I found this stat I'd heard it somewhere else, and so I went looking for more data around it. And according to socialpilot.co, there are around 1 billion users on LinkedIn, and only around 3 million users post on LinkedIn every week. That comes out to 0.3% of people on LinkedIn are actually creating. So I don't know if my math is correct there, but I think the stat I heard that I went looking for this data said that about 3% of people on LinkedIn are creating and contributing to the conversation. So when you understand that we're in this culture of consumerism rather than being creators and being thought leaders, it becomes a lot easier to be like, okay, this is par for the course. I'm building an audience. It takes time to build something of substance. So I'm going to sit down. I'm going to relax. I'm going to cool my jets and just give it time to figure out where all this is going. And I think that's really important. I've had like I said, the privilege of having conversations. I offer a 25-minute free podcasting brainstorming call where I just jump on with podcast hosts and we just talk about their podcast and how I could maybe help them. And a lot of podcast hosts are concerned about their download numbers, and they're like, I just need to grow my audience. I just need to grow my downloads. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. Let's talk about where you're at. And a lot of them are like, well, I'm getting 40, 50, 60 downloads a week. And it's just, I just feel like I'm falling behind and I feel like a failure. And I love sharing this news with them that according to, I think it's Buzzsprout, that if you are getting 30 to 40 downloads per episode in a 7-day period, you are like in the median, you're kind of at the 50% of podcasters. So you're already like right around average for a podcaster. And I know that people don't want to be just average, but when you understand that, it takes the pressure off. I watch it as I have these calls with these podcast hosts where it's like, oh, I'm not failing as a podcast host. This is par for the course. I'm, 10, 20 episodes in and I'm getting this many downloads. Oh, that's actually really good and impressive. So having these mindset shifts, I think are really helpful. I think getting your head around the details and the data as a dreamer so that you know where you're at on the journey, so that you understand that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not something that you're going to sit down in an afternoon and conquer. So those are kind of my takeaways. The community aspect, find some people that really, are in your corner and can help you and hold you accountable and continue to push you towards this goal that you've set out for. And then get some data around what you're trying to accomplish and be realistic about what it's going to take to accomplish it, so that you have the mindset and the thought patterns and the mental guardrails to continue to allow you to pursue this dream and this goal. So I want to give you a call to action right now. If you are a dreamer and you are struggling to be a doer, I want to invite you along this journey. This podcast is called The Podcaster's Journey because it is moving from where you're at right now to where you want to be. It's moving from where I'm at right now, that we're chronicling where I'm at right now, to where I want to be as a podcaster. And I'm excited to see where that goes for me. And I'm excited to see where that goes for you. But I can't see where it goes for you if you're not a part of the community. So I want to invite you to come and join the Podcaster's Journey Facebook group. And let's just have a conversation. Take me along on your journey so that I can be an encouragement and be in your corner and be a part of your community. So that is it for today, guys. I'm really trying to stop saying guys, so I'm just going to put that in there. That is all for today. There's a bonus tip for you as a podcaster. Try to address one person as you're recording. So that is it for today, and I'm so thankful that you've joined me. Until next time, happy podcasting.